close your eyes for a sec. Imagine this. You're on a beach at dawn. Sun's just breaking over the horizon. There's that salty kiss in the air, and those waves are kind of whispering secrets to the shore. Peaceful, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what if I told you that tranquility is an illusion, that beneath the surface, the ocean is in deep distress? And not just in a save the whales kind of way, although that matters too. This, my friend, is about all of us. So buckle up, because today's deep dive is plunging headfirst into ocean preservation.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the research we've got lined up, it's not just a drop in the bucket, it's a tidal wave of information that might just change how you see that seemingly endless blue expanse. We're going to unpack why this matters so urgently, not just for the planet, but for you and me directly. And don't worry, we've also got intel on what's being done to turn the tide, because who doesn't love a little hope with their dose of reality, right?
Yeah, so it's easy to forget that the ocean isn't just some picturesque backdrop to our lives. It's really what makes our existence on this planet possible.
Okay, I knew oceans were important, but the research we're diving into really drives home the oxygen factor.
Right.
Get this. They produce over half the oxygen we breathe.
Yeah.
Half. It's like this whole other world operating right under our noses, or I guess our swimsuits.
Exactly. And it's not just the air we breathe. The ocean is constantly working behind the scenes, regulating our climate, absorbing excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It's like Earth's giant built-in thermostat. And as you can imagine, if that thermostat breaks,
Oh, wow.
catastrophic consequences.
So we've got this vital life support system in the form of this massive churning body of water. But then we hit the part about coral reefs. Rainforests of the sea, they're calling them, which, by the way, such a spot-on comparison. But like their terrestrial counterparts, these underwater wonderlands are facing some serious threats.
Yeah.
There's this particularly sobering account about the Great Barrier Reef bleaching event back in 2016. Scientists are out there watching what they described as the slow-motion destruction of a living masterpiece. One marine biologist, Dr. Terry Hughes, went so far as to call it a tragedy.
And tragically, he's not wrong. Imagine this. The water heats up, stressing the coral. They're forced to expel the algae that give them their vibrant colors, leaving behind a ghostly white skeleton. This bleaching, as it's called, is often the first glaring sign that something is seriously amiss in the delicate balance of the ocean ecosystem.
And it's not just the coral reefs feeling the heat, right?
Yeah.
The research takes a hard look at this much broader issue of biodiversity loss across the oceans.
Yeah.
And it's pretty alarming stuff.
It really is. We're seeing entire populations of fish, some that have thrived for millennia, being decimated in a matter of decades.
Yeah, the research specifically mentioned tuna and cod stocks being hit incredibly hard.
Right.
And it got me thinking, if we lose these keystone species, what happens to the whole intricate web of life underwater?
Imagine it like a domino effect.
Okay.
You remove one crucial piece and it triggers a chain reaction.
Right.
Take the overfishing of predatory fish, for example. Without those apex predators keeping things in check, their prey, often herbivorous fish, can explode in numbers, leading to overgrazing of things like kelp forests and seagrass beds.
Oh, wow.
These habitats are vital nurseries for countless other marine species, and their destruction sends shockwaves through the entire ecosystem.
It's like that old saying, nature abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
You take something away and something else rushes in to fill that space, but it's not always a good thing, is it?
Yeah.
So it's this ripple effect, and we're all part of that ecosystem, which means, what? We end up with fewer fish to eat.
That's one very real consequence, but it goes beyond that. Ocean ecosystems provide us with food security, protect our coastlines from storms and erosion, even help regulate our climate. Disrupt those systems, and the consequences can be far-reaching and unpredictable.
Okay, so we're talking potentially massive upheaval, but buried in all this doom and gloom. The research did offer a glimmer of hope with this whole fish farming thing. Is that what they call aquaculture?
Exactly. It's essentially cultivating aquatic organisms, fish, shellfish, algae in controlled environments. Think of it like underwater agriculture, done right. It has the potential to take some pressure off those dwindling wild fish populations.
Okay, so we get to eat seafood and give the oceans a much-needed break. Sounds like a win-win to me.
It would be great if it were that simple. While aquaculture holds promise, it's not without its challenges. We need to be conscious of things like pollution from fish waste and the potential impact on local ecosystems. There's also the ethical concern of how these farmed fish are treated. It's not a perfect solution by any means, but it could be a valuable part of a multi-pronged approach.
So it's like anything else. We need to be smart about how we implement these solutions.
Okay.
Speaking of solutions, the research also highlighted something that really resonated with me, that ocean preservation isn't just about cold, hard data. It's personal, too. They profiled this incredible artist, Sarah Kay, who transforms beach trash, plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets into these powerful, thought-provoking art installations.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she's taking this symbol of our disregard for the ocean and turning it into a call to action.
Her work beautifully illustrates that deeper connection we have with the ocean. Think about it. Who hasn't stood on a beach, mesmerized by the crashing waves, the vastness, that salty, invigorating air, that feeling you get, the awe, the wonder? It often translates into a desire to protect what we cherish. And that's a powerful catalyst for change.
100%. And it's not just about preserving those breathtaking views either. The research also delved into the economic side of things, which I'll admit I hadn't really considered before. The research pointed out that a lot of coastal communities have built their livelihoods, their cultures, their entire way of life around a healthy ocean. We're talking fishing, tourism, even things like coastal protection from storms. It's all connected to the ocean's well-being.
It's true, the ocean's reach extends far beyond the shoreline. When we talk about ocean decline, we're not just talking about a drop in biodiversity or a rise in sea level. We're talking about economic hardship for entire communities that depend on a healthy ocean for their survival. We're talking about food security for a growing global population. It's a cascade effect, and the consequences can be devastating.
Okay, so the stakes are high, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the problem, right? But the research didn't leave us hanging. It actually offered some surprisingly practical steps we can take to be part of the solution even as individuals. And it wasn't just the usual reduce, reuse, recycle stuff, though honestly, those things are more important than ever, especially when it comes to single-use plastics.
Absolutely. Cutting down on single-use plastics is a huge one. But the research also highlighted the power of something called voting with your wallet, which basically means supporting businesses and organizations that are actively engaged in sustainable practices.
Right, like choosing sustainably sourced seafood. Speaking of which, that whole Seafood Watch program they mentioned, can you tell us a bit more about that? Is it like an app, a website?
It is. Seafood Watch is actually both an app and a website run by the Monterey Bay Aquarium. They do the research for you, providing recommendations on which types of seafood are caught or farmed in ways that minimize environmental impact. It takes the guesswork out of making responsible choices at the grocery store or when you're out at a restaurant.
So no more staring blankly at the menu, wondering which fish is the good fish. I love that. And what about those beach cleanups? They might seem small, but they always feel so impactful when I participate.
You're right, those hands-on actions are incredibly empowering. They not only remove harmful debris from the environment, but they also foster a sense of community and shared responsibility.
Yeah,
It's a tangible way to make a difference, and those small actions multiplied by millions of people can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond the beach.
totally. It's like that saying, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
Exactly. And beyond individual actions, there's also the power of collective action.
Mm.
Supporting organizations that are fighting for change, contacting your representatives to advocate for stronger environmental policies, those voices united create a powerful force for change.
It's like we said at the beginning, the ocean's well-being is intertwined with our own. It's not someone else's problem, it's a shared responsibility.
Right. And that brings us to a question we all need to ask ourselves. What kind of relationship do we want to have with the ocean? One of exploitation and indifference, or one of respect and stewardship? Because ultimately, the legacy we leave behind of thriving ocean or a shadow of its former glory depends on the choices we make today.
Powerful stuff.
Mm.
We covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but one thing is crystal clear.
Mm.
The ocean's fate is our fate. Let's ride that wave of awareness into action, folks.
I couldn't agree more.